To this 15+15 webinar. The format of these webinars is very simple. It's a 30-minute webinar, 15 minutes presentation followed by 15 minutes Q&A. In this session, we're going to explore the current state of AI-powered navigation and vessel automation. What's already possible today, what remains aspirational, and what it all means for the future of seafaring. Now, some of the questions I guess we need to ask ourselves is, can we trust AI to handle critical decisions at sea? We're going to be examining real-world deployments showing how AI is already enhancing safety, optimizing fuel consumption, and improving operational efficiency for some of the world's leading shipping companies. And two of the key topics for today's presentations will be, will AI replace human crews, and what risks and opportunities does this shift bring? By separating hype from reality, we'll map out the evolving role of technology on the bridge and what's truly at stake for the industry. I'm delighted to have with me today to share his views Dor Raviv, who is the CTO and co-founder of Orca AI, which is a maritime technology company leveraging automation and AI to enhance the safety, efficiency, and sustainability of global shipping companies. Orca AI has introduced an innovative operationals platform that enables crews to navigate complex maritime environments and progressively adopt autonomous capabilities. These innovations are not only improving day-to-day operational performance, but are also laying the foundation for the future of autonomous shipping. Today, Dor leads the development of Orca AI, cutting-edge technology and products, driving innovation at the intersection of maritime AI, automation, and safety. So I'm very pleased, Dor, to hand over to you with great interest about what you've got to say.
Thank you very much, Grant. It's an honor to speak in front of BIMCO. I'm pretty sure that today's session is going to be fascinating for most of you, and happy to share a little bit about how AI is already transforming shipping operations today. Without further ado, sharing my screen. For today's topic, my presentation is about humans at the helm and AI by their side. A little bit about myself. I'm an experienced skipper. I am a maritime navigation instructor. I co-founded Orca AI back in 2018, and I'm happy to share that Orca AI currently is installed on more than 1,000 commercial ships. I'm an AI algorithms engineer for almost 2 decades, specialized in deep learning pipelines and data science, and I have led multiple autonomous ships projects and managed multidisciplinary teams in leading AI companies. I'll start with a little bit of a stark reminder of the risks of navigating a large ship in low visibility conditions. On the left-hand side, this is what your human eye can see. On the right-hand side, it's a collision that occurred between the MV Solong and the Stena Immaculate near the UK shores, as captured by the Ionic Asperis, a vessel equipped with Orca AI thermal imaging device and collision avoidance. Now, this stark reminder is that shipping is still a very risky business. So, what can AI, or how can AI assist in such difficulty situations? Now, while it is not extremely sure what led to that specific incident, there are hints that fatigue, for example, led to the incident. Now, today, fatigue has compliance capabilities. We have some fatigue certificates, fatigue processes on board, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it protects our crews from fatigue. Now, fatigue may occur due to different reasons, of course, but most notably, crews today need to take care, maintain, and advise their vessels in some of the most congested waters the history have ever seen, with larger ships, more complex environments, and way more regulations than ever before. Now, overloaded crews are operating in complexity rather than simplicity. And this is exactly what the maritime industry suffers from today. Crews on board need to make good decisions based on massive amounts of data that comes and pours to them in real time. And this usually elevates stress and reducing awareness. Many of you already know what I'm talking about here. So whoever used AI in the past week or so have a notion of what AI can do for your day-to-day business and day-to-day work. We use AI such as ChatGPT or Gemini to help us summarize emails and documents, conduct automating simple tasks like sending an email, putting something on our calendar. And we kind of learn to understand better today than ever before what are the benefits, but also what are the caveats of using AI in our day-to-day work. Now, one of the most, I would say, predominant requirements for AI is that it needs massive amounts of data in order for it to be accurate. Data is scarce. It is troublesome endeavor to collect, specifically in maritime operations. But when applied well, AI may reduce the mental load, reinforce awareness, and increase the safety margins. So, the premise of Work AI is that we provide your AI co-pilot, not the captain, not replacing anyone, but boosting your day-to-day operations with this summarizing of what's around my vessel. We chose computer vision and cameras because our historical roots at Work AI goes back to Colreg Rule 5, maintaining proper watchkeeping. Watchkeeping always starts with looking outside the window properly, assessing risks, and only then maintaining the rest of situational awareness using radar, ECDIS, GPS, etc. But it all goes back to the eyes. Now, how to build AI properly for maritime operations requires you sailing all around the globe on multiple types of weather conditions, situations, traffic density, encountering and route multiple types of objects, and understanding what is risky, what is not, what is important, and when. And this is exactly what OrcAI has been doing successfully. But that's not the full story of how AI can boost awareness and reduce risks. We look on data patterns at large scale. For example, understanding which shifts specifically have more events, more close encounter events, for example, or close quarter situations. We filter those in traffic separation schemes. We filter those inside ports, but we learn from this high resolution granular data facts that may be leading to crew fatigue. For example, one of the most important indicators that we are checking is whether or not in the past week, for example, before entering a port, sailing in high traffic waters, is there late reaction to other targets? For example, excessive evasive maneuvers with low CPA, low TCPA, indicators that lead consistently, event after event, that the vessel that is currently equipped with OrcAI is reacting late to its environment. Then it may lead eventually to the realization that the crew is incompetent in its reactions. This type of insights is shared first and foremost with the captain and the crew. The captain has this kind of view so he can see on board how his crew reacts to different situations. This data is also shared with the office upon request or in the form of monthly data reviews. On how AI can boost navigation, can boost capabilities, reduce anxiety, but also be much more appealing to the industry, we underlay over OrcAI's vision of autonomous navigation. So as opposed to the top-down approach, where the autonomous navigation capabilities are part of one big suite of capabilities, we decided to take a more pragmatic approach, an approach that actually takes into account the context and situation around the vessel, building it from the bottom up. What do I mean by that? So the IMO and class societies and IX members have dictated basically between 4 to 6 different levels of autonomy. We chose to focus on 4 levels of autonomy. Level 1, which is the lowest level, it's decision support. The vessel is manned. It's a decision support system. We are at the port currently, so no need for any autonomous capabilities here. All it's important is its ability for a system to notify the crew risks in real time. Then, when starting to leave the port, the vessel enters partial autonomy, meaning level 2, meaning that there is a system that is assessing the environment, the visibility conditions, the traffic density. It always aims to be a level 4 full autonomous system, but there are disruptors outside in the world. In this specific case, leaving the port, maintaining partial autonomy, meaning that the vessel can be operated autonomously under human supervision in most cases. This is this situation. This user interface is the OrcAI real-time user interface that fuses GPS, AIS, radar, and cameras. When entering the high seas, the system transitions into level 4 autonomy, mainly speaking about no intervention is required by the crew unless there is some sort, again, of violation of the voyage. In this case, the system identifies 2 high-risk targets in lower visibility conditions, reducing the level of autonomy to 3, meaning that the crew needs to be alerted and take action in extreme conditions. Then, the crew is actually alerted on a pending storm ahead, reported by another OrcAI-equipped vessel. This report may assist in the crew in their decision-making, understanding whether or not they should alter course or report back to the office. But now we have entered low visibility conditions, as you can see over here in the cameras. It was previously noted, but now the system is in level 2, high risk, low visibility conditions. There are some companies, for example, a container or LNG company, that want to avoid excessive rolling and pitching on the vessel. For example, to avoid boil-off effects or to avoid stress or hindering to the containers. In these specific cases, many times the vessel should report back to the office, require the office to amend ETA or request for further instructions. With OrcAI system, this entire data transition is both reported locally on board, but also sent via email or SMS to the fleet managers, where they actually can see the live location of the vessel, live video streaming, live data information. They can share it with the port, can share it with authorities, but they also can amend ETA. This part of weather sharing information, again, uses massive amounts of data that we train our AI on to have actual benefits and impact in the real world. Entering shore coastal navigation again, the system goes back to partial autonomy and then eventually to a decision support system until the vessel is back at the port, safe and sound. These types of autonomous powered voyages are then being shared with the crew, with the shore, to showcase how much money, fuel, or CO2 emissions were saved due to the autonomy. It showcases all the anomalies that were encountered by the vessel en route and proposes ways for vessel maneuver to improve over the future. To summarize my presentation, AI is currently redefining life at sea. The crew is first. It's not crewless ships. They are not unmanned. It's empowering the crew, not replacing the seafarers. It's already doing that in our day-to-day lives. There is no reason why it wouldn't do that on board our ships. It maintains superior situational awareness, even in low visibility conditions, eventually reducing fatigue and overload on the crew. And one of the most important factors of putting this high technology on board ships is to attract the younger generation of seafarers, the next generation of seafarers that, there may be in naval academies now, but they all have access to AI in their day-to-day lives. They should be able to enjoy sailing, enjoy life at sea, and make sure that this industry is prosperous and very attractive to the younger generation. I truly appreciate your 15 minutes of attention. Feel free to approach me or visit OrcAI's website. Thank you very much, and back to you, Grant.
Lovely. Thank you very much indeed for that, Dor. Very, very interesting presentation. And I would just say to everyone now, if you have any questions, there is a Q&A section on our the screen in front of you there. So feel free to ask Dor any questions that you have. And as he's already invited you to pass on any after the event as well. A couple of questions from me. It's really interesting to see the way your technology has developed. I think as far as I remember, going back to 2017, there was this big announcement by Rolls-Royce that autonomous ships were on their way and they would have no crew whatsoever. There'd be no accommodation on board. The whole thing would just make its own decisions about how it proceeded across the oceans. It was kind of far-fetched and a bit sci-fi, but here you are now actually within a relatively short period of time delivering products that really are entering to the sort of arena of giving the ships far greater autonomy. And I'm interested in the fact that you have made it very sort of supportive technology. As you say, it's really about something there to support the crew, not to replace them. And I was wondering, you've said you've got your systems installed on over 1,000 ships worldwide already, which is amazing. But how do the crews respond to this? What is the general sort of feedback that you get from them? Are they concerned that this is just the first step to them being replaced, or do they just see, wow, this is a really helpful tool, and it helps with fatigue and it helps me make smarter decisions? What sort of responses do you get from crews?
Thank you, Grant. So the responses vary between different types of users that use the system. Most notably, for example, I would start from the bottom. So first of all, we have a process that we constantly collect feedback from crews. We provide certificates for using the system. We provide training. We constantly, like very, very thoroughly, ask them about how would they recommend the system, and we actually have our own internal NPS scoring system, which is Net Promoter Score, which is a way for us to assess the value of the system subjectively, meaning feedback, text feedback, not objectively, as in usage or proper usage, etc., etc. So, putting that aside, the reactions are overwhelmingly positive. Uh, the younger crew members, the third mates, the third officers, they love these kind of systems.
Mm.
It really helps them make sense of what's around them. Then you have the more senior officers on board. So captains, it actually depends. The older generation of captains may or may not love the system. This is why we provided them this tool on board to actually assess and review the entire voyage and the cruise usage. So this is another product. The captains themselves, some of them more traditional, they're even against ECDIS, for example, or over-reliance on technology in general. So for that purpose, we conduct training, but we provide them this tool to assess the crew's behavior and navigation. The younger masters, so for example, I've learned that the average age of a Greek master nowadays is around 36, 37 years old. They are already very tech savvy. When they go on board ship and they learn in navigation school, naval academies about radar, ECDIS, GPS, gyro compass, when they come on board and they see this high-tech system, it reminds them of their already existing iPhone or smartphone
Mm.
or, Galaxy or whatever. This is what they
Yeah.
used to have in their day-to-day lives. So they value such a system tremendously.
Okay, interesting to see. And you've talked about the training as well. I mean, is it something that you would perhaps look to see if you can get integrated into shore-based training for seafarers as well, so that they would, as more and more ships get this sort of technology, more people are familiar with it because they've had shore-based training on it before they even join the ship.
So this is again very good point though. We have active people who are now, after we kind of crossed the 1,000 ships installed, we figured out this is kind of pretty big now. So working actively to create syllabus for courses on AI-driven navigation. As you can imagine, it varies between countries, between navigation schools, between naval academies. So it's a process, but I firmly believe even if not Orca AI, this kind of decision support systems, very similar to aids against collisions that we have in our cars, will enter gradually more and more and more on ships because the unfortunate reality is that shipping is a dangerous business. I tap into these shipping news, and almost on a daily basis, you get push notifications on collisions, groundings, fires on board. It's very hazardous situation. So any tool that can assist is much welcome here.
Okay. So I can see in some ways, I mean, it's a tool that can help manage the risk on board better, which is obviously a very, very positive thing for the industry. Is this something like sort of, maritime insurers? Do they look at this and think, okay, well, this is something we want to see on board the ships we're insuring because it helps lower that risk profile?
Yeah, so actually, I'm very happy to share that Orca AI is being endorsed and even funded by North Standard of the UK, a P&I club. So it's a post 2 years process we conducted with North Standard where we shared data and hard evidence showcasing a reduction of up to 40% in near misses for ships over a period of year or two. So North Standard subsidizes Orca for their clients for the first year, partially. This is a first of its kind collaboration in the industry, and we are currently working on more and more insurance companies with eventually the goal would be to reduce premiums and reduce costs for the operators and make sure that they are more attractive to their users and their clients.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a collaboration everybody would welcome that we can link it into insurance and hopefully help reduce premiums for those who sort of implement it properly. But talking of implementation of the system, can you give us an idea about what exactly are you putting on board these ships? Obviously, there must be sensors and all sorts of other equipment. Is there a lot of equipment that needs to be added to a ship? Can we work with any ship type, older ships, newer ships? What are we really talking about to put one of these systems in place?
Thank you, Grant. So just to make the process as seamless as possible, and I have to say that we had to resolve that back in COVID days where we couldn't even go on board ships.
Hmm.
Yeah, so we redesigned completely what we deliver to the ship and how much time we need to spend on board. We actually constantly optimize the time. Today is less than half a day from start to finish. We're putting it on board. The only thing we put on board is the CPOT, which is the camera suite, the 8 camera suite, which is IP graded, class approved, and then a powerful AI computer that can process all of those videos coming into the system. It's a commercial off-the-shelf equipment, DNV approved. We put a touch screen in a strategic location on the bridge, usually nearby the radar, and we connect to the existing navigation sensors. We don't need to bring any other sensors with us. 10 navigation sensors that are there by mandatory. We just split the lines, connect them with our own certified electricians. The entire process takes less half a day. And I'm also happy to share that the installation and the system as its whole is approved by ABS, the American Bureau of Shipping, and was assessed thoroughly for its performance by Lloyd's Register. We just finished another voyage, 5 day long voyage with surveyors from Lloyd's Register, where the AI performance exceeded 98% in all visibility conditions.
Wow, impressive, very impressive. So half a day to install it, which is great, and it doesn't sound like there's a whole lot of stuff to be installed. And then crew training, is that something that people pick up very, very quickly? It's quite intuitive.
Yeah, so the system itself doesn't require training almost at all. It's very intuitive. We have award-winning product designers that basically produced a very simple system to use. All the smartness is happening under the hood. The operator can just choose between day or thermal cameras, increase, decrease. It has like zoom, increase, decrease the sound, the audio, brightness, and that's it. No need for any other input. The system just spits out what's risky, what to pay attention to, and doesn't even recommend what action to make. Just an ADAS for now.
Okay. And you mentioned in your presentation that it works with four levels of autonomy. Um, obviously from, just a very, very sort of basic assistive technology, assistive autonomy, right up to sort of taking over almost everything. But what sort of levels are people currently working with? I guess it's still new technology, but do they obviously tend to stick to the low levels? And does the system itself change the level of autonomy depending on where you are in the ocean? If it's a wide open space, it can have a higher level of autonomy. Does it alter itself? How does that aspect work?
Yes, again, a very good question, Grant. So today, the higher levels of autonomy are not yet public. They are not provided yet in a public manner. It's kind of similar to the full self-driving kits that you now see on electric cars, for example,
Hmm.
Tesla. Yeah, so it comes along with the basic level of autonomy, which is the decision support. And we're working, we have a roadmap till we get to those different levels of autonomy released out there to the public. But the premise is that the system alter itself the level of autonomy. Of course, it requires some sort of an acknowledgement by the crew. So it's all kind of conveyed properly between the machine and the operators. And this is all based on guidelines that we're working now with ABS on how a system should understand its ability to differ between different operational design domains or ODDs. Low visibility, good visibility, shore, sun in front of the camera, lost camera, thermal camera, all that is laid out, and we are providing benchmarks and evaluations to each state of the system to make sure that it operates very consistently.
Okay, interesting stuff. One last question, Fedor. Um, what we see in the industry at BIMCO in terms of how autonomous ships are developing in general, we see in inshore waters and coastal waterways a number of autonomous ship projects, some of which are live and carrying cargo. And they're operated on the basis of a remote operations center, where sort of the navigational personnel operate several ships, but they're shore based. So there'll still be people on board the ship, but that navigational element is controlled ashore. And I guess that's the way the sort of IMO regulations on autonomous ships are sort of working towards as well, recognizing that there's a remote operation center that may control multiple ships in the ocean. What is your kind of vision of the future? I mean, we only have these things in inland waterways. Moving into international waters is an altogether bigger step. But how do you see the future of autonomous ships?
So again, Grant, fantastic question. I think that the underlying technology of sharing data between ships and shore, specifically for deep sea maritime operations, will not be something that is sustainable or viable or reliable in the next few years. Unless there is true monetization justification to put more satellites, to put more capability for real-time connectivity, high bandwidth, low latency technology on board, the fact would remain that ships need to be able to react and respond on their own without the need of any external connection. Because God forbid you have something that requires immediate attention, and due to the fact that you have low connectivity,
Hmm.
something will not happen. This is usually not the case for shoreline, coastal, canals operations, but from time to time it is. So we need to put more brains on the ship to allow it to have more capability to react and respond locally. And then maybe or maybe not, pending connectivity, be able to share this data or this information back to shore. Now, most of the time, most days of the year in open waters, visibility is good, weather is calm, it's all fine. But we can't expect the unexpected. Things at sea tend to break, tend to not maintain or sustain and tend to eventually be relying on other subsystems, for example. So just to wrap it up, we need to have a very powerful AI on board that's able to work alongside the crew in real time, regardless of connection. It may or may not share voyage information back to shore upon connectivity, but the critical information, the tactical navigation, has to be conducted locally. The idea around compounding knowledge, for example, for voyage optimization, passage planning, which you have this cloud capability to compound knowledge from other ships. This is something that we work on in Orca AI to share data between ships in real time, but it doesn't require real-time connectivity because we assume you have a few hours or maybe even sometimes a few days ahead. So this is also another part of that. Other than that, those shoreline USVs or remotely operated ships, they have very specific use cases which are great for remote operations. And I expect to see in the future more and more and more autonomy being introduced to those use cases.
That's lovely. Thank you very much for your answer to that. And thank you very much for a very interesting presentation, Dora. I think it's really fascinating. Not just to sort of talk about the future, but actually see how it's been implemented on over 1,000 ships. So, I mean, that's really encouraging developments. And I'm sure it's a lot of comfort for seafarers as well to realize that there are companies out there thinking how we integrate seafarers with technology, not replace them with technology. So thank you very, very, very much indeed for your insights. Just to say to everyone who's been watching this webinar has been recorded, so you can play it back. If you do have any questions for Dor that you would like to ask him, please contact him either through us or directly. But otherwise, thank you very much indeed for joining this 15+15 webinar.
Thank you very much for having me, Grant. Take care.
Thanks.